You just need to really get a reality check if you're using AI for content. All right. And most of the AI that's put back for content is a laundry list of stuff that I joke that if you're using AI for content, you're writing stuff that nobody wants to read. Right. So somebody told me, she facilitates this women's leadership group. And she goes, some of my women leaders are using AI to write performance reports. I said, yes, it's another example. You're writing something you don't want to be writing for somebody that doesn't want to read it. All right. So I think that is a very misplaced use of AI. All right. So where I am excited about AI, I use AI in all different parts of my business, and it's mostly for data parsing. And it's fascinating when you can take vast amount of data and you can find information out very quickly about it. And I don't really want to go into all the different ways I use AI in my business because I want to talk about one specific application.
This is the Play Your Position podcast, where we huddle up, call the plays, and inspire you to run your ball into the end zone. Are you ready to score more game-winning touchdowns in your life, business, and career? Then listen up, because it's game time, baby. Now, here's your host, Mary Lou Kaiser.
Hello, Team PYP. Mary Lou Kaiser here. Welcome to today's episode of the Play Your Position podcast. I'm so excited that you have joined us today because it's game day here at PYP. And if you've been a faithful listener for a while, you know what that means. And if you're new to PYP, welcome. I've got an amazing guest who is full. You are going to be blown away by what my guest is going to share with us today. Her name is Michelle LaBrosse, and let me tell you, you're in for a great ride. So, Michelle, are you ready for kickoff?
I am ready for kickoff, and I have been watching a lot of football getting ready for this show.
I love it. Well, as we're recording this, we are in the midst of the NFL playoffs, so it's an exciting time for all of us football fans. But even if you're not a football fan, you're going to be excited about what Michelle has got to share with us. So let me set the stage here a little bit for you, team, and then Michelle's going to fill in the gaps. Gosh, I don't even know where to start. She is such an accomplished woman. She is an author. She is the CEO of Cheetah Learning and an inspiring figure in project management. With a dynamic background in aerospace engineering and a rich career as an Air Force officer, Michelle brings a unique perspective to the realm of leadership and innovation. Her remarkable achievements include recognition as one of the 25 most influential women in project management globally by PMI. Her mission, enabling exceptional outcomes through accessible and enjoyable project management education. And one thing that Michelle was sharing with me in the pre-chat team is there are so many exciting opportunities coming for all of us, and she's behind something that is going to blow your mind. But before we get to that, Michelle, I would love for you to set the stage for us and tell us your story about when you first got the call to leadership. Do you remember how old you were when you realized I am a leader? Or was it something that happened more gradually and you look back and say, oh, now I can pinpoint? Tell us your story.
Well, I don't think I ever self-identified that way, but I was always recognized as a leader. I'm talking from a very young age, right?
Yeah. So what were you recognized for?
I was running student council, in charge of like this Catholic youth organization. I was always planning events and just organizing people to do fun things. I had a lot of energy and a lot of passion for whatever I was doing in the moment. It was like I was like the little kid that was Tom Sawyer, right?
Yeah.
Enrolling people in whatever my passion du jour was. And I'm still that way. So, you're recognized as a leader when you do that. And I can remember my speech I gave in high school for running for vice president of student council. And my rallying cry was no more disco. We want Southern rock. That wasn't very coordinated, and I was tired of going to all these disco dances. I wanted to go to see Southern rock, and I won by a landslide.
That's awesome. Oh, so you brought Southern rock.
A lot of other people were tired of looking like buffoons on the disco dance floor. And so, but, it's kind of innate that I get really excited and passionate about whatever I'm doing. And I always am able to get other people to join me in whatever. Being in my kitchen is a lot of fun. Everybody says, oh, you turn everybody into your sous chef.
So you're obviously good at delegation.
Yeah.
Go do that.
Inclusion. I'm good at inclusion. I'm good at bringing people along and making them part of the fun of the effort. Because I always have a lot of passion in whatever I'm doing. So this is, I think we were talking a little bit about, I am turning my 35 years of expertise into a software product.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to stop you there because that's like big bomb just dropped. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know there are people in the audience on Team PYP who consider themselves SMEs. They have worked for years and years to develop a body of work or an area of expertise that they're proud of. And a lot is going on right now with, obviously, AI is on the tip of everybody's tongue or, on our fingertips. We go into ChatGPT, for example, or we use some of these tools to create some fun art projects or whatever it is. I mean, AI has been around for a while. I like to remind people, if you've been using an iPhone, you've been using AI, right? It's not like it's new. It just feels different now. So what does it mean to turn yourself into a software as a system and a SaaS? That's what you were talking about.
Yeah. Software.
What is that?
Well, I didn't start out with that in mind. I started out because I was frustrated. And that's how a lot of my passion projects usually start out. But I just want to get back to your show for a minute here, okay? And what prompted my thinking about your show, because you play your position, right?
Yeah.
And like, what is my position? Who am I and what is my position? And I'm a provocateur and I'm an innovator. Okay.
Nice.
And I wear the provocateur. A lot of people are afraid of conflict, and they're, and I am afraid of conflict. I don't like to hurt people's feelings, right? But at the same time, I'm a provocateur. And so I just had a leader in our field put together a GPT for project management.
Okay.
So of course I went and tried it out. Okay. And there were two project management apps put up for GPT yesterday. And I tried both of them out and I was extremely underwhelmed.
Really?
They were not very good. If I had somebody working for me that put those together, I would be getting them to work for my competitors really quickly.
Oh, I like that. Here's the door.
Provocateur, okay? And I let them both know. I let them both know that this is an app for someone who knows nothing about what they're doing. Okay? And you're trying to get somebody who does know what they're doing to give you feedback and to train your app so that they can be replaced.
Oh.
Okay. And I said, first of all, there's many, many different ways you could be using AI in project management that would advance project management way more than what this app does.
Okay.
And I told them my specific examples of one of the apps. I was doing it in 2004, like you talk about machine learning. Okay.
Yes.
I was doing the exact same thing that this app could do, which basically we gave you a laundry list of what you should be doing for your project that was just so generic.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
All right. Like, oh, wonderful. You know what I can use that for? I can use that to create a pitch deck to investors, right? It's just that generic, right? So the other one was basically developing test questions for this test I prep people for.
Oh, yeah, right.
4 months ago, I tested out an AI app for creating courses. And I had it create a course in my industry. Well, the course was already 4 years out of date that it created.
Really?
I was like, wow, I don't have to worry about AI competing with me here.
Right.
And so the test questions that this company rolled out for their, like, oh, we're doing AI. The test questions were also 4 years old. And I'm like, wow, if anybody's using these test questions to prep for the current exam, they are going to be sadly misled because they won't pass the exam with these test questions. And I let them know. I said, your test questions are 4 years out of date. So
What can I ask? What was their response to that?
I haven't heard back from that one.
Of course you haven't.
Okay. The first guy, he wrote back and goes, thank you for your input because I'm well respected in the field. So he said, thanks for your input. And I said, I think if you really want to make a difference in the project management space, you will figure out how to do AI on Slack channels.
Oh.
Because every project has a Slack channel.
Yes, yes.
And so you can easily monitor that Slack channel and start to surface an issue, an undercurrent of an issue before anybody knows about it because everybody's talking about it on the Slack channel. Everybody in that project knows what the issues are.
Right. And it's current.
Right.
Isn't it your understanding, Michelle, that AI is relying on that? The reason those questions are old is because that's what it has access to.
Right. It has no access to my information.
Right. Okay. So let's have you talk about your position is that you have a very robust, very illustrious position. And now you're dabbling in this exciting new field of AI and it's so cool that you've been able to test some of these things that I'm sure there are people going, wow, it's amazing. And you're saying, not really.
No, not really.
Yeah.
So where I am so excited about AI, it has nothing to do with content. Okay.
Please elaborate.
If you're using AI for content, we need to do a reality check on your creativity or abilities.
Yes.
Okay. So all you should be using AI for is to check, have I covered everything? Okay. Now, It was so interesting. Have you AI'd yourself? Have you ChatGPT'd?
I did when it first came out. And I was like, I had an MBA from the University of Kansas and all kinds of incorrect information. I was laughing my butt off.
Yeah. Okay. So you know what I'm talking about? It's very funny, right?
Yes. Yes.
So just amplify that like in a bigger, wider circle. Okay. So you just need to really get a reality check if you're using AI for content. All right. And most of the AI that's put back for content is a laundry list of stuff that I joke that if you're using AI for content, you're writing stuff that nobody wants to read.
You got it, Michelle. Thank you for saying that. Thank you. Yes.
Somebody told me, she facilitates this women's leadership group. And she goes, some of my women leaders are using AI to write performance reports. I said, yes, it's another example. You're writing something you don't want to be writing for somebody that doesn't want to read it.
Yep.
All right. So I think that is a very misplaced use of AI.
Yep.
All right. So where I am excited about AI, I use AI in all different parts of my business, and it's mostly for data parsing. And it's fascinating when you can take vast amount of data and you can find information out very quickly about it. And I don't really want to go into all the different ways I use AI in my business because I want to talk about one specific.
Yeah, I want to hear you talk about that. Yeah.
Okay. So several months ago, I was extremely frustrated with the back end of my system, which has been in development for 23 years, right? So we have 23 years of operating a training company in the accelerated learning space. We've had 80,000 students. So we have a very robust back end system for managing this level of a business and doing it. My goal has always been to automate monkey work.
Yes.
Right. So I have a very, like you said, you're a force of one. I have a very small staff, which has a very large footprint because of our use of automation. And so my system is like Southwest Airlines scheduling. Right? Remember Southwest Airlines scheduling last year where they had massive technology debt? Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. So it's so painful to edit my system. Because it's been 23 years. It's like the Winchester House. Right? We have all these different add-ons, and then it takes so much processing power for them to talk. And I said, if I were starting the business new today, what would I create? So I started studying a bunch of different ed tech applications that were SaaS, right?
Right.
And can I use them? Why should I reinvent the wheel? So I did a make versus buy analysis. So I studied about 30 of the leading ed tech systems, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want give their names out. I just don't
No,
want
that's fair. No,
okay?
we can all think of one or two.
Right. But I did a deep dive into them. All right. I did a deep dive. I did use cases. I studied how well could I integrate from a registration, from an exam, from a course creation, from a front end. How well could I integrate the 4 key elements of my business from a tech perspective with these systems? They were all significantly lacking. Now, I could have made them work. I could have made them work in all but one area.
And what area was that?
Course delivery.
Hmm.
All right. So, and this is something that I've been aware of for at least 10 years. Many of the course delivery platforms are not focusing on educational design. They're great with graphic design, but they're so missing the boat on how people learn, which is what I specialize in. That is my position. Okay.
Yes, it is.
This is my position is, I'm passionate about it. I've been passionate about it for 35 years. And it's like when you want to say, where did I first establish my leadership? It was in undergrad as an aerospace engineering student.
Okay.
Because I took an aptitude test for engineering before I went to college. And I really wanted to go into engineering. And I scored a 35% aptitude.
Oh, wow.
Okay. But I liked figuring out things out. I loved math. I liked systems. And I said, and I wanted to go to Syracuse University. I needed a scholarship. So I got an Air Force scholarship in aerospace engineering. And I had to get my degree in 4 years.
Yep.
I had to take 7 courses a semester.
Wow.
So I turned up the heat on learning. Now, my parents had been teachers and I was always in gifted programs, but I think that was just because that's what they didn't know what to do with me. And, I had like probably what they would call ADHD as a kid, which I didn't. I just was really creative.
No, you just have, here I am on my soapbox. I was a teacher in a former life in public schools and in college. And my students who were labeled, whether it was ADD, ADHD, they had an individual, an IEP, whatever it was, they were some of the most bright, creative, beautiful humans. And yet here they were forced into this box because they couldn't sit still, which, hello, is a human thing. We're not supposed to sit in a desk 8 hours a day being yacked at. Okay, end of rant.
Yeah, so I had to get the lay of the land fast.
Yeah,
okay?
You sure did.
I had to get the lay of the land fast. In every single class, I had to get the lay of the land fast. And I had to teach myself how to learn because I did not fit the mold of the students in the class. I had a 35% aptitude. Like I'm in mechanical engineering. I cannot visualize in 3D. All right. I didn't even know. And this is the very first level of learning we teach now in our courses. We call it awareness.
Yes.
I had no awareness of my lack of competence in visualizing in 3D. Right. So here I am in a mechanical engineering drawing class and I can't visualize in 3D to save my life. But I could make really pretty pictures. I was extremely good at figuring out what the professor wanted because that's how my brain works. I'm just in as an empath, right?
Right.
And so I could figure out really quickly what the professor wanted. And I was able to reproduce exactly what the professor wanted. And I got almost A's in all of my engineering classes because I could get the lay of the land very quickly. I'm a very good pattern seer. So I could see the system. I could see how it all fit together. And I could navigate my path to learning and to basically getting really good scores on my tests, which was important for doing well. I graduated with all types of honors. And then I went on to get a master's degree in mechanical engineering.
Right.
It's fascinating because that is all math. And I'm extremely good at math and I'm extremely good at seeing patterns. So when I got into the military, I was also very good at doing presentations and I'm very good at teaching because I can connect with the learners where they are.
Right.
And I can make up stories really quick. I'm really good at improvisational comedy and I can make up stories really quick that connect wherever a learner is and help them get to the next level. So that's why my company is called Cheetah Learning. It's not called Cheetah Teaching.
Yes.
Learning is an individual activity based on where the learner is.
It absolutely is.
And how do you get them very quickly from where they are to mastery, because learning, this as a teacher, mastery is where it's at. So I have 4 levels of learning that we create all of our classes with: awareness, where you become conscious of your competence and your incompetence, right? So consciousness is the very first part of learning because it drives intrinsic motivation. Because how do you know what you don't know till you know you don't know it? All right.
100%.
So that is the very first part of learning. But if you don't do that, you never capture the heart and soul of your learner.
Right.
So awareness is key. The second is knowledge, because once somebody has awareness, then they're on their own little path. They start Googling everything, and every time they'll notice all types of, this relates to this and that relates to that. And their knowledge of the topic will really grow exponentially. And then you have skill, and skill is, can I do something with this knowledge? And so one of the things we do is we help people pass this exam, and the skill is can I answer the questions correctly on this certification test? Or projects, can I get my projects done in 2 weeks? And what type of skill is that going to take from an organizational ability, from an ability to develop the team and inspire the team? So skill is you're developing habits and practices that can help you achieve your goals. And mastery is where you have consistent results with these skills. And mastery, to me, is where the cross-disciplinary magic happens, right? So if you have mastery in one area, and then you go and develop mastery in another area, then you're going to be able to make magic come out of those 2 areas.
Yes.
Like, what does blending spices have to do with project management, right? You could probably tell me what blending.
Yes, I could.
Right? And so, I set up a spice company on vacation over 2 weeks, and I was able to launch a new business in 2 weeks using project management. I developed 2 areas of mastery and came up with something that was amazing. This 2-week approach to doing projects, which I now apply all over the place. So mastery from a learning perspective is where you get Renaissance people, you get polymaths, and really mastery is the highest form of learning. And it's where it's so energizing. It's so exciting, right?
It is.
It's like, play your position, right? I love your play your position, because when you're playing your position, you're in mastery. You're at the top of your game and you're wanting to get better. You know where you need to improve. You know, you work at it. You're diligent. You're focused. It's exciting. So mastery is where we get people to really quickly with accelerated learning. So when I was looking at all of these learning platforms, I'm like, there's no learning pedagogy here, right? I'm a big believer in your subconscious working with your learning. And part of your subconscious is you take a page of information. Your brain sees that whole page, right? So if you don't see the whole page, and one of the learning things is they have everything set up in these little sections, and then it's linear, and it's like, this is not helping your learning. Whereas mine, you see the whole page of information. You have a graphic overlay of it. The graphic overlay follows you the whole way through. You have a path, you have learning rituals, so that you follow this graphical user interface. It's so important for any type of technology. And at the end, boom, outspits your level of mastery in whatever that topic is. I have a leadership course, and what's really important about leadership? Leadership is how well you're integrating with people. How well are you using their strengths? How well are you helping them develop their strengths? How well are they they're leveraging their own strengths? How well do they know how to use other people's strengths? So my leadership approach is all strengths-based.
Yes.
Well, at the end of the leadership course, you have a high-performing team. That's what leadership is about. How are you inspiring and getting other people to be the best version of themselves?
Yes.
So I have 60 hours to do that. Like 60 hours? Wow. Yes. And I can do it in 60 hours. And then the Cheetah Agile Projects one is about how can you consistently get significant projects done in 2 weeks? Now, I am creating a SaaS in 2 weeks. January 19th, I have 2 project teams working on my SaaS, which is, I have 4 parts of my SaaS portal. The first 2 parts are the basic underpinnings, and I will have that done by January 19th with both of these teams.
Which is tomorrow.
Yes.
Yes, as of this recording.
They have the whole data
18th.
schema done. They have the whole input screens done. We did a preliminary review. They're in India. So I'm working at 11 o'clock at night with them, which is the beginning of the day. I did a preliminary review with both of these companies. And we have the whole data schema done with all the input screens in 2 weeks. They went from my vision to having that done. And how did they do it? They did it with AI.
Wow.
It's halftime here at the Play Your Position podcast, and we've got ourselves a great game. While you're up grabbing another snack and topping off your favorite beverage, make sure to subscribe to the show so you never miss another play. PYP is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever great podcasts can be found. Now, let's get back to the game.
Let's pause for a minute, because what you've just shared, like I said, team, at the beginning, your mind is probably blown as mine is. Not only, I think what Michelle, you're doing so well for us is you're showing that one, a company or a business or a creative project can come from a point of frustration, right? You were frustrated with what was available on the market in the ed tech space, and any of us, and I know, again, for myself and people listening, there are a lot of us who have signed up for courses, right? That was a big push in the 2010s, is launch your course. I'm raising my hand. I put out a couple of courses, and I found for myself as a learner, I wasn't able to articulate the way you did why I didn't like the experience. And that's exactly right. For me, learning is a dynamic experience. It is not sitting in front of a screen, pushing a button and answering a bunch of questions. I mean, that's like the death of creativity, right? Mm-hmm. And I know in the space of our time today, we can't go into the, as much as I'd like to, go into what the limitations that technology has in terms of providing or has had, until I think what you're getting at is there is a way to make learning using technology engaging and robust and fulfilling. And a person comes out on the other end and actually feels like, wow, I get this now. It's not just I ticked the boxes and got a score. It's a whole being experience. And we are I think we're in the infancy of this technology. And so the field really is wide open, and you have an experiential kind of approach to things. I want to set the context. You mentioned, I'm just going to hold this up if ever this is shown.
My book,
Yeah, Michelle has a book called Cheetah Agile Projects, Be Fast and Flexible. And her whole premise in this book is the magic of 2 weeks, that you can complete a project from start to finish in 2 weeks, and not just a little tiny baby project. We're talking like what she's describing, a SaaS that could really revolutionize the way those of us who want to package our expertise and share our gifts with others and help people learn skills and mastery, will be able to use in the coming years. And that's exciting to me. And I hope it is to you as well, team. So I just wanted to give a shout out to your book, Michelle, because this framework of a 2-week project is really powerful. And you're integrating that, it sounds like, into this larger SaaS that you're doing. So let's go back to that. What exactly is this going to be? If I'm down the road, what your vision, I'm a consumer and I'm an expert and I want to do something with it and not just plug it into one of these existing things. What is your SaaS going to allow me to do?
Okay, so if let's say that you're one of my lead customers, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to need some guinea pigs, right? So let's
raise
say
my hand,
right? And I like your play your position perspective, right? I think that level of retrospective on somebody, and we all go through career transitions, right?
Yep.
And playing your position can be like, where's your level of frustration? Like wherever your level of frustration is that's where you have a passion. Okay, you wouldn't be frustrated if you weren't passionate about this, right? So let's just do that as the first level of learning with awareness. Where are you frustrated? Okay, then we take frustration. And so Now let's go take a look at, well, how can we go dive into this area and, try to get some pain relief for you? All right, knowledge. Let's look at knowledge. And then let's do some skills. So what type of skills do you need to develop to basically move from a place of frustration to one of power and empowerment with your talents, with your innate talents? Because I'm really big into innate talents, right?
Me too. Talents, yes. Right? Yes.
And then let's talk about mastery. Now, okay, how can we use frustration as the fuel for you going forward? Because frustration is a normal part of our life, right? Especially using technology. Instead of running away from frustration, let's use it as our fuel. And this is mastery. So whenever you're frustrated, let's follow a little process here, right? So basically play your position could be a class in frustration. How do you use frustration to power yourself, right? It's
nice. Fuel. Yeah.
And in 2 weeks, my goal would be that we have your entire training business set up. When we have it set up from how are we marketing to customers? How are we getting customers into our funnel, right? To all the way to the registration, to, what type of assessments are we doing on these students? Because I used to be against tests. But, since I make all my money with helping people pass a test, I have a little bit different opinion on tests. But one of the only reasons I like tests is because of its impact on heightened awareness, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
They focus your attention. All right. That's about it. They're a good knowledge check. And I also like to teach people how to just take tests and not be so nervous about it. Tests are actually good to help you deal with anxiety, learn emotional management.
Sure.
There's a lot of good things that come out of helping people learn how to manage their emotions with tests. But then you have the whole course delivery, and how do you help somebody? So, it's not so frustrating using the system, and that you can have something that's nice looking, that's not just nice looking, but it's actually really good for the learner's experience, that the learner can go through this process, and at the end, they can actually have mastery, which means you, as the course developer, needs to know what level of mastery you want the person to get to, which is, I'm sorry to say, but most of the course development platforms are not even talking about this standard. You know what I'm talking about, Mary Lou. You're a teacher. You know awareness, knowledge, skill, and mastery. This is a very fundamental educational curriculum development approach, right?
Yes.
But none of the platforms are talking about that. They just, put up your graphics, put up your videos, put up your text here, do your test questions. What are we doing? Why
I know it's awful. And I think it's why there's so many abandoned courses, and also why people what I see on social is I see people who are now selling programs around their mantra is, before you put your online course up, you need to do this first. And they're selling a program around what you need to do first, because it's ghost towns out there.
Well, do you know that 90% of online courses don't get completed?
Is that right? That's the stat, 90%.
You know what the completion rate is for my courses?
Close to 100, I imagine.
Yeah, it's close to 100. One of the reasons is because I guarantee people will learn. I have a 100% learning guarantee. Okay.
That's awesome.
Does not learn in my course and they don't achieve mastery to what we guarantee they will achieve mastery, we refund their money.
Love it.
But you know what the kicker is?
What's that?
They have to do the course.
Well, yes. Yes.
Okay. Because once they do the course, they achieve mastery.
Right.
So, I mean, but hey, look, you just paid $4,500 for my course, right? First of all, I charge a lot of money for my courses because, the patient won't follow the doctor's advice unless they pay.
It's true.
Right?
That's
so
right.
They paid $4,500 for the course, and they're going to do the course because if it doesn't work, they're getting their money back.
Right.
So my students do the course because they want to get their money back if it doesn't work, but it worked. And then raving testimonials because it worked. But you have to have that underlying backbone in it, right? I have the backbone to say my programs work. I know you're going to achieve mastery when you do my programs. And if you don't, I'm going to give you your money back. I do almost no refunds. I mean, yeah, occasionally in my exam prep course, I have somebody who just doesn't get it and I have to give them money back. But that's like 1 or 2 a year. That's not many, right?
No, it's not.
Not many. And you know what? I mean, seriously, if somebody has done my whole course and they haven't learned, well, then I'm happy to give them their money back. It just wasn't the right fit for them or whatever. But that just doesn't happen. If they do the course and they follow the 4 levels of learning, they get to mastery. And you have to create programs where people are getting to mastery. And so my whole course portal is going to walk people through a very good educational development process. So they're putting decent courses out there, not just slamming up a bunch of PowerPoints, right? Because who learns from the PowerPoint is the person who created the PowerPoint.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
In my courses, my rule of thumb is you have 80% of learning is about creation, and 80% is the student doing some type of creative activity. 20% is the instructor who is the guide on the side.
Hello.
Right?
Yes.
The sage on the stage. I mean, I had this mentor when I was very young, 25, my first mentor. He used to call the sage on the stage, this is where you need to perfect your stand-up comedy routine.
That's great advice.
Right. It was great advice. And it's great advice for teachers too, is like, you are not meant to be the sage on the stage. A good teacher is interacting with the learner, where the learner is, guiding the learner through a set of experiences where they're going to come to their own conclusions and develop their own mastery and their own strength set. And that is what a good teacher did. I just heard this talk by, what was it, Neil Tyson, whatever his name is, the real astrophysicist who's really intelligent.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
Right. And he said that as a teacher, if you as a learner are responsible for learning, I'm not a good teacher. As a teacher, I am responsible to meet you where you are and take your learning up to the next level. And that's what I do is we start people where they are. So let's say that, you think about it. There's no way I could finish a project in 2 weeks, right? Hey, all right, well, let's see. What is it you can finish in 2 weeks? And let's start there. All right. And let's start there and let's build up your confidence. So because being able to achieve your goals is all about self-efficacy. Being able to play your position well is all about self-efficacy, which is your belief in your ability to do it. And you develop your belief in your ability to do it by setting small goals.
Right.
Right. And if you're frustrated, what you need to do is you need to dial it back. What can I achieve in X amount of time where I won't be frustrated? Right.
Right.
And you know what? Maybe that's just cleaning up your kitchen, right?
Right, or getting rid of a bunch of clothes that you don't wear anymore from your closet. Right.
So you just say, you know what? I can clean out my closet, right? And I can get that done in 2 weeks.
Right.
So do you dial it back? And then you get more confidence. Oh, I think I could do a little bit more the next time. I think I can do a little bit more the next time. And then you gradually develop mastery. And what mastery means is, you know what? I know when I set out to do a project in 2 weeks, I'm going to be successful. But you don't get there overnight. If you're frustrated, dial it back.
Yeah.
Right. Go do something that you can do and get over that feeling of frustration.
Right. I like how you're emphasizing start with frustration. It seems counterintuitive because we naturally want to get away from pain and frustration as quickly as possible. And how many ways there are to numb ourselves from it. Oh, I don't want to deal with this right now. Let me binge watch Hulu or whatever. But what you're getting at is the frustration and the pain is really the starting point to a major breakthrough. And you can build a project, one of these 2-week Cheetah projects, out of a simple frustration in your life or your business. I'm curious, can you, since you're so good at improvisation, which I love, it's an awesome skill to have. Could you give an example that is say people who aren't creating courses or teaching, but a 2-week, give a frustration, say for somebody who's in real estate, for example.
Oh yes. Well, I love to talk about real estate.
Okay.
Right? So I just finished building Cheetah's virtual training center. And I was extremely frustrated at the drywall phase. Anybody who's done any remodeling will know what I'm talking about. Sheetrock, okay?
Yep.
Sheetrock. Oh, it's going to take us 3 weeks. I'm like, in what universe is it going to take you 3 weeks to sheetrock a 4,000 square foot house? Okay. I don't know about this. All right. So I just got myself away from the project for 2 months. And
Oh,
I came back at 2 months and I'm like, okay, it looks like we're almost ready to start painting. All right. And so I said, we're going to manage the project differently. And now that sheetrock's done, and I'm going to manage it in my 2-week phases. Right. So in the next 2 weeks, we are getting the inside of the house painted. Right. And then we have another 2 weeks after that. Then we're going to do all of the trim. 2 weeks. So I went from the sheetrock done to the building finished in 8 weeks.
Okay.
I did a bunch of 2-week projects. And I have very distinct beginnings and endings with those 2-week projects. And every morning for 15 minutes, I got together with the crew. And we went over everything they were going to do for that day and what barriers did I need to knock down for them.
Oh.
Because that was my job, was to remove any obstacles that they had to doing their job. And sometimes it meant bringing in some more talent, right? Sometimes it meant, we don't have the right equipment for this. Okay, no problem. And I would just run like maniac to get the right equipment.
Yep.
So, that wasn't course development, but that was the 2 weeks. And I was very committed to what we were going to get done. And then we had, you have your standard people problems. My trim guy, he was so great unless he was drinking.
Oh, dear. Yep.
So I got 2 other trim guys. And I'm like, we can count on this guy a little bit. If he's here, great. If not, but we didn't lose the project because we didn't sweep that problem under the rug, right? We had a drinking problem. And it's like, hey, look, we'd love to have you here. You do good work. You don't show up drunk. You don't drink on the job. But if you're going to be out drinking, you don't need to be around.
Right.
But we didn't sugarcoat that issue. Yeah, the guy's a drinking problem. Okay, let's figure this out. We're not going to sit and cry about the fact that the guy has a drinking problem. That we can't control that. That's his job to control that.
Yes.
But it's my job to make sure we have the talent to get the job done.
Yeah.
And so those are like, I think that you can't just say, I'm going to muscle through this. I mean, there's going to be problems. You're going to have to do some finesse. But you're going to have to hit it head on. You don't run away from it.
Right.
So
and you've got that 2-week window where you're reverse engineering. This is what we want to have done in 2 weeks, and then you figure out, what does that entail, and then giving yourself some grace within that. That things are going to come up, like your trim guy shows up drunk, or and my brother's in construction, and he's told stories about, and like you said, that isn't your thing to control. Your thing is to control the project. And if it means bringing in somebody else, then you bring in somebody else.
Well, and it also did help about the relationships.
Sure.
I developed a really good relationship with the hardware store. And I would just go in and I would talk to my buyer at the hardware store. And I'd say, I have a problem with the trim guy. You got any other else I can recommend? And everybody's coming in and buying stuff from him. And so he knows what their schedule is like. He goes, I know Josh just finished a job and he's probably available. Give him a call.
Yep.
That was because I had a good relationship with that guy. Now, where I built the Cheetah Virtual Training Center, I knew not a soul. So I had to get up beyond the ground and I had to be developing relationships really quickly. So,
where is this?
I don't disclose where it is.
Oh, you don't? Okay. That's fair.
So I don't disclose where it is. But, building relationships, it doesn't matter where you are. You can get on the ground and you can start to develop relationships very quickly. But you have to develop trust very quickly, which means paying your bills on time and making sure that you use the guy as the buyer, right? I mean, this is running all my buying through that store. And so, I'm not going to go short circuit him. I bought it cheaper at Home Depot. No, that's not going to establish my relationship with that guy, right? So you have to look at the big picture with your projects. It's like mastery. What's my end goal here? The longer for real estate, the longer that one of your buildings is sent unfinished or sent empty, the less money you're making.
Yep.
Right? So what is your end goal? What is the level of mastery you want to achieve? So in the 2-week project, my end goal, get the trim finished. I had the people painting, I had to trim in, and then I had to get the painters back in, but then I had to also line up the flooring people, right? And I had to have the flooring people lined out, and I had the tile people lined out. So I had to have all of this done in time because these people had put me on their schedule.
Right.
right? But we got it done in 8 weeks, but it was me being on the ground. I bought a camper and I lived on the job site.
Mm-hmm. So again, that's an example of you're all in, right? This if you're going to use this 2-week time frame, if you're going to do accelerated anything, it's not half-assed. It has to be, there has to be a level of commitment, 100% in, and also consistency, and then having that flexibility, knowing that within this 2 weeks, anticipating something is not going to go according to plan.
Yeah.
And it's like, I used to ask that question a lot on this show. If you are a football fan, you can have the greatest game plan all mapped out, X's and O's, you run the plays and everything. You get on that field and guess what? It's snowing like a, crazy person. You're from Miami. We just watched this game. You're from Miami and you're playing in the snow in minus 17. There goes all the plans. You're boots on the ground, figuring out as you go. And again, having to give yourself some grace, and maybe it's next person up, but what I hear ultimately, Michelle, that I really appreciate about your approach to what you do and also your leadership is it's trusting yourself, trusting and establishing trust with others, being consistent, going through those 4 levels to reach mastery. And I love that that's a great framework for people who may have been a while since they've heard that, or may never have. I wrote them down as you were talking. Awareness is first, then knowledge, then skill, then mastery. And that applies to everything. Becoming a parent, becoming an empty nester, sending your first kid off to college, your kid graduating from college, your kid moving back home, your father or your mother dying, and now navigating life without somebody, getting divorced, getting married. I mean, any life experience, those 4 are there. And if we could do even a fraction of the job we're doing in education as a big umbrella term, I think people would be more satisfied with their lives. Yeah. I think a lot of the frustration that I hear on this show, with guests talking about different scenarios of things, is that we went to school and the school system did not prepare us for what life is really like. And so it's left to us to figure it out on our own. And a lot of people resist that because of a lot of different factors. And so someone like you comes along and says, well, wait a minute, here's a really great framework, guys. And if you're in this, if you want to take your expertise and institutionalize it, like you were saying in the pre-chat, which is what you're doing, that's possible. And I'm going to put a plug in again, team, on Michelle's show notes page at pyppodcast.com. There will be a link to her book. Definitely this is such, you can read it fast. I wrote it to be read fast and being able to and implement. And the key is you can implement it. And I was being transparent with her in the pre-chat that I did read this book, and I said, okay, Mary Lou, what can you do in 2 weeks' time? I haven't yet done it. I was a little bit intimidated by that 2-week framework. But at the same time, I was so impressed. And I hope that you are hearing Michelle's enthusiasm and passion for what's possible. No matter what you do, there's an opportunity here with what she teaches. And so for those who'd like to learn more about what you're doing, I know your website is undergoing a transformation, but currently, where do you hang out online, Michelle? Where can people find you?
I hang out at cheetahlearning.com, and I am testing out new ideas on cheetahlearning.us.
Okay.
And so cheetahlearning.com, I can't get rid of my current infrastructure. I have to transition, that's just right. So one of the things I've realized is we are the intersection. Cheetah Learning is the intersection of accelerated learning and project management.
Okay.
Because project management is a critical life skill. It is when you learn how to get from point A to point B and you have mastery in it, you can go after so many other things. And so the intersection of accelerated learning and project management helps develop what I call metacognition. And it's a framework in your brain of how do you get from point A to point B. So I can look at something And I can say, because I have the metacognition structure in my head at this stage of the game, where I can say, I can spitball that. And, I can tell you that's a little bit longer than 2 weeks. And I'm going to have to dial that back. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So when you develop the metacognition of accelerated learning with project management, you can learn where can I reasonably get something done in 2 weeks. And so you don't bite off more than you can chew. And that really helps with progress.
Yes, that's the key is, as you were saying earlier, it builds confidence. If you can achieve something, you can look back and say, hey, I did that. Now what can I do? It's that stair stepping.
Well, it's kind of funny because in my last 2-week project when I was finishing, I have been a little bored.
Really?
Yeah, because I got it all set up.
It didn't challenge you.
I launched it and they're doing great. I meet them at 11 o'clock at night. And I've been watching a lot of football.
That's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. And, and it's fun being on this show because I have to contemplate what is my position and how well am I playing it?
I would say you're playing it really well. And I love how you've woven the theme of the show into our conversation today because it's so near and dear to my heart. And I sometimes take for granted that, and I'm sure you as well, you have a very high level of self-awareness, Michelle. You know who you are. You know why you're here. You're passionate about what you do. You bring so much enthusiasm and energy to any audience that you're speaking to or working with. And not everybody has that. And I fundamentally believe that is the secret to a well-lived life. That knowing yourself. I mean, not that I'm the first one. Who was it? Aristotle, know thyself. I mean, it's that journey alone is so exciting because first of all, we change as we get older and we have more experiences, and the opportunity to continue to get to know yourself is always there. And I love what you're doing in the space of education because first of all, technology is here and education has changed because of it. And you are the first person to come on this show and blatantly say what's out there really isn't working. And we need to hear that.
It's not fun for anybody.
It's not.
It's not fun for the course developers and it's not fun for the students. And it's just like the person using ChatGPT to write a performance report that she doesn't want to write for someone that doesn't want to read it. Right?
Right.
So are you creating a course that you don't want to create for someone who doesn't want to take it?
And for what purpose?
For what purpose? Just stop.
Right. Just stop.
Stop. Just do something.
That's going to be, just stop. Oh my gosh. Okay. So cheetahlearning.com is your current place. You're developing cheetahlearning.us. Are you on LinkedIn or any of the socials?
Oh yeah. I'm all over LinkedIn.
Okay, cool.
And, Cheetah Learning has a pretty big Facebook page too. And I have a really, really fun Gen Z guy who he kept approaching us. I really wants to make some fun videos for you. And
That's
oh my
awesome.
God, that guy makes really funny videos. We're on Instagram at Cheetah Exam Prep. His videos are so funny. He makes these little blurbs and he's learned how to replicate my voice on AI. And
wow.
oh my God, they're so funny. I just crack up. Anyways, I love this guy. And he's like, I think in his early 20s and his videos are so funny.
That's great. There's a great example of multi-generational work and tap into the talents of it affirms him and it also helps you and move your mission forward. I love that.
My kids were like, wow, Mom has gotten really good at the memes. They're like, because I'm over Christmas. Like, wow, Mom, you've gotten really good at the memes. I'm like, no, that's not me. That's my Gen Z guy making all these really funny videos.
Oh my gosh, that's
really
great.
Impressed with. I'm like, no, I'm not nearly that good. He is so funny, and he's always looking for more work. He's like, do you have any entrepreneurial friends? I'm like, well, I have a lot more work for you if you want it. Anyways, because I think I'm going to have him start making really, really funny meme videos for my learning programs.
Oh, I love it. Well, I may raise my hand on that. It would be great to have somebody who can create content, but that's a different subject.
Well, anyway, email me. I'll forward you his
I
information.
will.
So he like captures the general gestalt of something really well in these videos. It's so funny. And he sends them to me every day. I have them on retainer. And oh my God, it's just great entertainment. If nothing, if nobody's laughing about it, I am. And it doesn't cost that much for the entertainment.
Hey, listen, if we're not laughing, we're crying. And I'd much rather laugh. Not that crying's bad, but well, listen, Michelle, this has been amazing. I'd like to let you leave with the last word. And my question for you is, what do you want your legacy to be?
I think it is the accelerated learning. It's, we can learn so much quicker than we are. And it's not about AI, artificial intelligence. It's about our intelligence. That's my last word is, we don't have to rely on artificial intelligence. We can use it as a tool, but work on your own intelligence.
Hey team, Mary Lou here. Who's number one in football changes from year to year. Fashion trends come and go, same with musical tastes. But leadership skills, they never go out of style. In fact, these days, leadership is an essential survival skill for a world that demands more from us than ever before. To succeed these days, you need to know how to show up for yourself so that you can then do the work you love with people you like the way you want. The Play Your Position Leadership Playbook helps you do this, and it's free. Go to pyppodcast.com to download your copy today. If being more successful this year, next year, in the 21st century is on your to-do list, get your copy of the Play Your Position Leadership Playbook now. pyppodcast.com. It's at the top of the page. You can't miss it. That's pyppodcast.com, and start being more of the leader you are meant to be today. This podcast was produced by Daniel Romeros. Show notes for this episode can be found over at pyppodcast.com. I'm Mary Lou Kaiser. Thanks for listening.
Here at the Play Your Position podcast, we believe that the road to self-mastery and a life well lived starts with answering the call to leadership. That's when the fun really begins. Send this episode to any friends who might need to hear the inspiration and ideas you heard today. And feel free to rate and review us on your favorite podcast platform.